Okay, so our next step in learning how to use Google Drawing is to practice making a mosaic image. This is a little different than the vector image in that with the vector, we made big shapes and layered smaller shapes on top. And with a mosaic, you just fill the entire shape with lots of tiny little shapes that don't touch. It makes a mosaic image looking. Um, we're going to use the same apple sort of image just to sort of compare apples to apples. We're going to use the polyline tool, so you can see some directions here at the bottom of your practice sheet. We're going to make small shapes on top of the apple, filling just the apple space. We're going to leave some space between each shape, just a little bit. We're going to fill each shape and outline with the color. So we'll follow the colors of the apple and try to make your mosaic shapes the same kinds of colors. You can use the curved line tool. I think the polyline tool is better to make just lots of little shapes. And then once you've filled the shapes, you can get rid of the image so you just have your mosaic. And then at that end step, you can go back in and fill in any shapes that you missed. So the first step is to zoom in. We're going to zoom in to our apples so we can really see all of it. And then we're going to go to our select line tool and choose the polyline tool. You can start really wherever you want. I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a random shape. Now I'm going to make that red. I might choose a custom red. Let's slide it over. Maybe looks good. Okay. And then I'm going to get rid of my outlines. So you want to fill in red and get rid of the outlines. And then the next step is to continue making shapes. They can be any kind of shape you want. The smaller the shape, the more detailed your image is going to look. You want to try to make sure your shapes are not touching. And also, the more points you click on, the more detailed your shapes are going to be. Left kind of a big space. I'm going to have to go in there and fill in some of those shapes so that I don't have really big gaps. I don't want big gaps. Whoops, I made a little mistake. I'm going to undo, try again. And there we go. So I'm just going to keep making these shapes. Now, if I have some shapes where maybe the color is a little different, that's when I'm going to have to start editing for color. So now I could go to custom and pick a light color, and that could be my light color. And I can use that, like here, this is going to be a little bit light. So that's going to be the same. Can make some big shapes. Oops, that one didn't connect. There we go. All right, so this is the gist is you're just going to continue making shapes. And if your shapes accidentally overlap, you can always go in and edit. I'm going to edit that one because I made them accidentally overlap. So I'm going to double click with the select tool, pull that down, go back to my polyline tool, and continue. You can have some areas that are a little bit bigger. Pay attention to your outlines because the outlines definitely determine whether it looks like an apple or not. You can repeat some shapes, like I'm going to get a little repetitive with these sort of rectangle shapes. All right, and so I'm starting to get pretty far along, and here's where I'm going to check my status. So I'm going to go to the select tool. I'm going to select the big picture, and I'm going to hit backspace, so I'm going to delete it. So now I can start to see, yep, I'm getting the curve of the apple pretty well. I'm going to enter, I just went to undo to undelete. going to make this a really super bright color. So I'll go to my custom shape, make a really bright. Okay, get rid of my outline and so on. So I'm going to continue this process until I have completed the whole thing. Of course, I want to also do some mosaics on the leaf. So I would use my polyline tool to create some green shapes up here. Again, the smaller and more frequently you make new shapes, the better it's going to look. Make sure to mosaic that leaf, mosaic the whole apple, mosaic your stem, and see how closely you can replicate the colors. Maybe you can find some nice darker reds for the shadows. So maybe I would go back in later on and make that red just a little bit darker. Those little details are going to make a big difference. So I would make dark shapes here and here. Oops, I accidentally moved my apple. Try not to move your apple. And if you do, you can just keep hitting undo until you get back to it. So that's the process. Continue to mosaic the whole thing until you have a mosaicked apple, and then turn this in. And then we'll be ready to choose between a vector style project or a mosaic style project. And we're going to use the theme of animals. All right, good luck.